So we're back on the presentation.
Hello, sir. Hello. Hello, sir.
It
Hello,
seems
Sir
that
Miguel. Hello.
now we have audio.
Uh, I can hear you now.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
all
It's
right. Let's continue.
there's a lot of people waiting for you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And we're gonna get started. Um, I'm gonna share my screen. I hope everybody can see my screen now. And we're gonna get started again. And thank you for your patience. I know this has been a troubleshooting situation, but we were able to sort it out, and here we are. So, welcome to this event. My name is Miguel Villagra. I'm a certified physician life coach and positive intelligence coach. And in today's event, we are gonna shed some light on some concepts that are oftentimes ignored and crucial for any physician, entrepreneur, or healthcare innovator that is interested on growing their practices and their life and taking it to the next level. And that is mental fitness. Over the course of my career, I've been obsessed on potential and exponential growth personally, professionally, and for my businesses. And I believe that considering the high stakes of our entrepreneurial journey as a physician and entrepreneur, it's very important to be equipped with the right tools. And and I think that if you think about it, when we oftentimes we focus on our goals at the expense of our mental emotional well-being, usually leads to a non-sustainable pathway that eventually will stop us from growing, or worse, it will get you to problems like burnout, etc. And today I am here precisely to kind of make you understand that it doesn't have to be that way. There is other ways to make things in a most sustainable path. And that's precisely what we'll try to show you. We're going to try to keep some action driven and some concepts, but at the same time, some recommendations or suggestions that you can implement on your personal life as we go along. Now, if you think about the traits that I want to choose for my entrepreneurial physician healthcare innovator journey, first, let's talk about resilience. I've been very obsessed about the concepts of building resilience because at the end of the day, you think about it, we have a limited time through the day and a very limited amount of energy, both physical, emotionally, mental energy that drains throughout our journey every day and over the course of days or weeks. So I've been very focused on how we can make this battery to last longer and we can make it recharge faster. And ultimately, that is crucial for anyone that is trying to get into entrepreneurship and healthcare innovation and so on and so forth. The second thing is sharpen your focus. The reality is that oftentimes we ignore what matters the most and focus on trivial things that don't move the needle, either personally or professionally. And that's one of the concepts that I want to share with you. And positive intelligence, mental fitness can be or give you the tools that can allow you to to get to that moment of peak performance, state of flow, and laser focus on the things that matter the most. And lastly, the third trait that I think is crucial and mental fitness can be a good way for it is creativity. It definitely can help you on your critical thinking and problem solving and what I will describe as thinking out of the box to the challenge that we face every day. At the root of healthcare innovation precisely is that idea of disrupting the status quo and come up with fresh new ideas that you can create, deploy, implement, and even scale into a digital health uh, company, for example. And I think that we need to unleash our creativity and our out of the box thinking now more than ever that we're exposed to all this new technology, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. Now, at the core foundation of a resilient mindset, first, is an understanding of what we're exposed to. It is true that we're exposed to high stakes, high stress situation. Whether you are a practicing physician, you are a healthcare innovator, you are a founder of your own startup, you are running your practice, either brick and mortar or telemedicine, etc. We face unique challenges and pressures every day. And the idea is that also we have to navigate the uncertainty of the future where now we know, and I think COVID helped us realize and open our eyes to the fact that even in medicine, there is not guarantees. And considering all the changes that were going in an enterprise, in healthcare, etc., I think now is more than ever a time to remain nimble, flexible, and rapidly adaptable. And those are skills that sometimes, although you might not have it as a burn trait, is something you can definitely develop in the future. So now, mental fitness unlocks potential. A resilient and focused mind enables clear decision, creativity, and a sustained motivation. And on the flip side, the cost of doing nothing, meaning ignoring your mental fitness, can lead actually to burnout, decision fatigue, and self doubts. And that definitely can derail even the most brilliant ideas. And that's kind of one of the things that I want to shed lights today. So that way you can see that there is other way. I will try to open for a moment the streaming again and see if I can get to chat. Uh, and feel free to jump and put a message on the chat box. And that way we can kind of interact to each other. And thank you for your patience on our troubleshooting in the beginning. So let's move on. So now, one of the things that I observe and is being well documented and proven is what is called the disparity of outcomes. Why some people thrive where merely others survive, either personally, in business, professionally, etc. And and oftentimes one of the things that I want to point out when we talk about personal, professional, sometimes we might not be exploring or getting to fulfill all our needs in some of these domains rather than others. In other words, personally, when I was a very highly accomplished regional medical director for a large managing hospital medicine company, and I was full in corporate work, is one of the times that I feel worse physically, mentally, and most important, I was ignoring my personal life. And that led me to kind of have to make some changes. And what I like about coaching is that you have that opportunity to sit down and explore the things that you might not know or you know, but you're still ignoring them anyway because you feel you have no choice but to just to keep going, no matter how or what is at stake or what you might be ignoring personally and also even in your relationships. I think that physician needs to be aware of most of these tools because the reality is that considering our high stake, high pressure environment, we need to be at the best possible state of mind and emotions when we're dealing with the challenges of our everyday life. And at the same time, it's funny that when I talk about coaching to physicians, they see and sometimes they don't even understand the true value behind it. But the reality is, if you think about it, any high accomplished individual, either in corporate leaders, CEOs, in sports, etc., they do have a coach behind them, helping them grow, identify the blind spots that they might have. But once again, today I will be able to share some of the things that I utilize on my own personal life and with some practical applications for your own businesses. And the first concept that I want to share with you is precisely what I call the professional business life paradox. We always feel and think, and we've been actually told that success and entrepreneurship has to be linked to the pain of discipline, uncertainty, and long hours of work. One of the things that I hear the most about physician entrepreneurs, I'm wearing multiple hats at the same time. And I often think that that has to be the case, and you can definitely explore opportunities and in your professional and your business life. However, I'm here to tell you that that idea of fallacy of no pain, no gain, definitely that's not the case. There is other way when you can instead integrate, and that's one of the concepts that I want to share with you. We feel that fulfillment and happiness can lead to pleasure, balance, and contentment, but unfortunately can lead also to complacency without ambition. So oftentimes we feel like we're pulling these forces, right? For one end, we have fulfillment, happiness, inner peace on our relationship, time for our family, kids, etc. And on the other hand, we have success, entrepreneurship, ambition, achievement, impact, and financial growth. And we see like opposite forces that are fighting to each other. And I'm here to tell you that doesn't have to be the case. And through mental fitness, positive intelligence, you can be equipped with tools that can help you integrate both through resilient clarity and more important purpose. Now, mental fitness is about strengthening your mind like any other muscles. And I would say the most important muscle because even your physical muscles will be driven and your performance will be driven by the level of mental fitness. And that's something, by the way, that you can measure actually and monitor through the time. If I'm going to give you the most simplified concept of mental fitness, that is the capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive mindset rather than a negative reaction. And there are some core concept components. One, we have saboteur versus sage. This concept has been defined from the positive intelligent person behind this framework, Shirzad Kamai. And basically, how it works, the saboteur that we all have and it develops since our childhood is our inner critic. And the master saboteur is called the judge. And we all have it. It's just a matter of how loud it is at a given time, how much you have control over it, and more important, how it can affect your performance individually and when you're leading teams. On the flip side, the sage, which resides in a different part of your brain, is basically what is related to your inner wisdom. we all have that. And that's the beauty of this, because what you want is to grow your sage perspective and numb or decrease the loudness of your inner critic or saboteur perspective. Through recurring practices, you can invoke the neuroplasticity of your brain and actually train it with empowering habits that can help you be ready for those challenges from a perspective of the sage rather of the saboteur. A mentally fit innovator is indeed more creative, confident, and able to handle the setbacks in a more effective, and I would say also sustainable way. Now, these will help you kind of see the difference between the both extreme. From one end, you have the saboteur brain that is dominated by your limbic system, the fight or flight response. But I'm here to tell you, though, that the mother amygdala, I need to add the third response, and that is freeze. Oftentimes, I see people not moving forward, not making the right decisions, although they know what they have to do. And inaction, to me, is has a huge opportunity cost and deleterious consequence for specific individuals. Now, the saboteur brain is triggered by fear, stress, and negative emotion, and it will lead, and this is the most important, crucial concept, it will lead to reactive and narrow decision making. On the flip side, the sage brain to the right engage the prefrontal cortex and empathy circuitry, encourages calm, creativity, and clear-headed focus, and allows you to turn challenges into opportunities. So at the end of the day, if we were gonna get more granular, mental fitness will be about rewiring your brain through intentional practices that can help you move from the left, the saboteur brain, to the right, the sage powered prefrontal cortex. And this seems very simple to understand, and yet is so powerful when you truly, consistently implement it into your work life and workflow. And keep in mind that this is what has been extensively researched, and there is true evidence that this really works. So now, I'm going to talk for a moment for the master saboteur, which is called the judge. The judge finds faults in yourself, others, and circumstances. And the idea here is like we all have a judge. We all have an inner critics. And I would say that oftentimes when we were growing as a kid, it became necessary to have a good tool to help us assess good and bad and how to react to the events and circumstances, and even as a protective mechanism. But the problem is, as we get older, these becomes a cognitive bias that help you see the size of the story of reality that is not helpful for you to move forward and make decisions that will allow you to be the best version of yourself at any specific given time. You see that imaging. In coaching, I recommend my clients to define and even visualize and even put a name to their own inner critics. Hyperachievers, physicians, healthcare innovators are oftentimes hyperachievers, and the judge is very, very loud. And sometimes they don't even know how loud it is until they start doing some of these exercise and they do a true assessment of their mental fitness score. These images represent the Terminator, and that's the name I put to my own personal judge, which was extremely loud just a few years ago, and I've been able to still there, but definitely minimize the loudness of the voice that was leading me to inaction, dissatisfaction, and even burnout as a physician, hospitalist, eventually telemedicine and healthcare innovator. One of the things that the judge affect me the most is when I was interacting with others. I have the macromanaging tendency, a perfectionism mindset, and my way or no way kind of thinking. And And it's one of those instances that as you grow, your business is growing, you have no choice but to delegate and work with others. And when you're coming from this mindset that only I can do, I can do, I can do, and nobody else can, definitely that will create a huge roadblock in the growing and the scale of your businesses because you don't learn how to delegate. Um, at the end of the day, if you think about it, if you get into this vortex of negativity, it builds negative energy, and that builds negative energy not only affects you, but is spread to the other people that is around you. And now I'm going to tell you this concept that is very important in mental fitness, and that is what we call the data channel and the PQ channel. The data channel is how you combine all the facts, all the information that you need to relate to your team, to others, to your patients, etc. On the other hand, you have the PQ channel, and that is more related to the energy and the emotional state that you're using to convey the message. And I can tell you, I've been in medicine for now over 10 years. And the most successful leaders that I have worked with, interact with, coach, etc., are those that have been mastered both. They are able to convey this message through the PQ channel, not only through the data channel. Because if you think about it, the data channel is more about strategy and execution, which is great. But the PQ channel is more about transformation and inspiration. And when you're leading a very inspired team, that's equally and is being well documented, those are the more high performance team. And that's necessary more when you're building and start up your business. Now, the other saboteur that I see frequently I see the most on physicians and healthcare innovators is the stickler, which is the perfectionism taken to the extreme. And I've been there myself. It was one of my top three saboteurs when I did my PQ score. It was number one, actually. And the problem with that is you focus so much on checking all the boxes, right? That you get to a point that you're not adding any value. You're just delaying decisions that are crucial for you to take either personal, professionally. And one of the things that I like to use when I'm dealing with the stickler is just to ponder the question, what needs to be perfect and when good is enough? And oftentimes we don't reflect on that, right? Not everything that we do has to be perfect. Sometimes good might be enough. And I'm going to expand a little bit this concept when I introduce the 80-20 rule, but you can most definitely apply the 80-20 rules or the Pareto principle to this concept because oftentimes good enough are the things that are in the 80% of things, but just very, very few are in the 20% buckets that really needs to be perfect. But oftentimes we feel that everything has to be in the perfect environment situation. Now, it will create frustration when others don't meet your expectation, and that leads to again micromanagement and strained relationships. So the interesting part is that two things here. There are nine variants of the judge or saboteur. And the ones I can point out that I see the most in physicians, highly achieved professionals are the stickler, the hyperachiever. I have seen a lot of victimhood on those that are struggling with moral injury and burnout. The hyper rational I see a lot on those in leadership position in corporate. And then there is a little mix of the rest. The controller is another one that I see a lot. So the interesting here is two things. One, you can take a free test about your positive intelligence score and your most common saboteurs. In coaching, to give you an example, we try to initially focus on the top three, and actually, I would say initially on the top saboteur. and then we scale to the second, and so on and so forth. I'm one of those that like to laser focus on getting one task better or one goal achieved, and then we elaborate and expand and compound over time. Now, the second thing is uh, the the PQ test that you can take. It will also show you what is your total score. In other words, how much you are reacting in a sage or saboteur response. And the rule of thumb is to, at the very least, you want to achieve a 75% score. In other words, 75% of the time you are in a sage mode rather than in a saboteur response when you are interacting and making decisions. Now, I'm not going to go over this because it's too long, and I'm working on a presentation, a workshop actually, that is going to go more deep into all these concepts. Um, but all I'm going to say is that we all have saboteurs, and we all can turn these saboteurs into sage with the right tools. Now, I want you to reflect on this for a moment. When you are faced with a stress and challenging situation, do you typically react or respond? And recognizing the difference is the first step toward your mental fitness journey. Now, how do you know, right? So I'm going to tell you in a very simple way. If you are during this challenging time and decision and talking or presenting, etc., full of stress, overwhelm, and negativity, you most likely are reacting rather than responding. If you are in a calm, laser focus, flow mental state, you most likely are in a sage perspective, on a sage response. You are actually responding to the challenge and the situation. And this is something, as I was mentioning, you can actually measure. And what I like about this framework that I'm showing you today is that not only is measurable and is achievable, but at the same time, you can track the progress over time. And it's not just something subjective, whether you feel a change, which is important indeed, but it's not enough. For me, also, I want to see how your score correlates with the outcomes that you're achieving as you go through this transformation and change and implementing some of these tactics. Now, the other side of the coin, and I'm working on a workshop that is going to be just designed for those in leadership position and leading teams, either in your small practice and your larger healthcare system, etc. I will dare to say that we're all leaders in some ways, but this is the point I want to make. This has been well researched by Sigal Barsade, and that is the ripple effect. And the concept goes like this. As I was mentioning, you aim for a 75% of on your PQ score, and you aim to at least be aware of your top saboteurs, that inner critics and the different variants it has. Now, when you analyze the average PQ of your team, and you can measure that, I have done it in small digital health companies where I advise them, and we do this process of assessment. Um, when the team PQ average is low, the performance of the team is usually very low as well. But the second concept I want to share with you, which is, I believe, more interesting, is the fact that the PQ score of the leader has the biggest impact in the overall score of the team. In other words, even if your team has a PQ that might be considered as average, like 50, 60, if the leader has a very low PQ, 30, 40, it will usually drop the performance down. And that is expected if you think about it. Not going back to this emotional contagion, your mental, your emotion, and your degree of energy through the PQ channel can be easily conveyed for good or worse, right? And people can catch up these even at the subconscious level. Even if they don't want to, they still will be affected by all this mental energy that is being transmitted through the leader. But the good is that if you aim to improve your PQ score, the other way around works as well. When the leader PQ increase, actually it can drag with him up the entire team performance. Now, oftentimes that's a good way to detect the people that you might have or not on your team. And this is something, unfortunately, that leads to this eye opening about, is this person the right fit for this position or tasks that has been assigned. That's a good way to make it in a more uh, it's not just about performance review, but certainly to some degree there is the objectivity of you have a base upon what this person might be impacted the entire collectively average of the team performance just by being low on their PQ score and lack of willingness to improve. Now, for now, I just want you to pause and notice, are you in saboteur or sage mode? And what can you do to shift from one to the other? And as I said, you need to aim for a 75% rule, where 75% at least of the time you are in the sage mode of positivity, of calm and clarity, instead of being in the saboteur mode of negativity, reactivity, uh, etc. Now, this is a beautiful slides that I just want to give you a general perspective from Jill Bolte Taylor, who wrote this amazing book called Brain Living. One of the telemedicine company I work for is focus on stroke recovery, and we all oftentimes we talk during our interactions with our stroke survivors about the content of this book, as this was a neuroscientist who went through an event of a hemorrhagic stroke and basically had to learn again. Um, so we have four sides. We have our left emotional tissue, or memory, past experience, future planning, and we have the left thinking tissue, rational thinking structure, and organized thinking. But we also have our right emotional tissue that connect you with your present moment awareness and body sensation, like the ones that you're experiencing as we speak. What are you feeling right now? What sensations you have, where are you feeling it, and what they might represent. And the right thinking tissue more that connects you to the universe gratitude, which is crucial in your journey, but more important, the big picture thinking. And this is one of the things that keeps our end in mind. And positive intelligence help you to connect all these four domains and keep them. Uh, I see oftentimes we kind of numb or ignore intentionally even or right emotional tissue or moment of awareness and body sensation. And remember, your body might be telling you that something is wrong, that something needs to change, that something needs to get better. Don't ignore those emotions. Don't ignore those sensations. And that actually tackle with the concept of Brené Brown of daring greatly about vulnerability. You know, that we oftentimes feel that being vulnerable is as a weakness, a sign of weakness in general. And I'm here to tell you that definitely that will never be the case. Now, the sage or your inner wisdom has different powers that we can explore as we go on a journey through the mental fitness framework. Empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and activate. The idea here is that when you're facing with a challenge, and I might be getting to coach you, or you might be trying to do it on your own, you use all these tools to try to approach the problem, try to first get you in the best mental state to face the problem and start brainstorming ideas how to overcome. And each of these has different tactics, different tools, some of which I will share with you in a second. But the idea here, or the concept at the end, is that Every outcome or circumstances can be turned into a gift and opportunity. And I'm here to tell you that definitely that's always the case. Now, I'd like to present that there is data that suggests, going back to the 75% rule that I was mentioning, if you are more in the sage state than saboteur, there is increasing on your contract negotiation, your higher salary, closing deals, fewer sick days, improving accuracy in diagnosis, students improve performance, and even had a lot of biological changes that could be important. Because at the end of the day, if we want to perform at our best, we need to be, of course, or mentally, physically, our shape needs to be at our best as well. Now, I'm going to show you the 5 pillars of mental fitness for physicians and healthcare innovators. And you can see it as in order or a sequence of steps if you must. The first one is self-awareness. And as I was mentioning, if there is one thing that I would suggest for you to do is to take your free PQ test and get your score, share it with my team, and we can analyze and help you with some resources. But the idea here is identify the saboteurs and how they might influence your decisions. Recognize the patterns that might be holding you back. Awareness is the first step toward meaningful and long-lasting change. The second thing is self-command. And that is because, mental breaks, as I call, which are very short mindful practices that can last from just 30, 60 seconds up to 2 minutes, at least twice, 3 times a day, it becomes like your mental fitness pill that you can easily practice, whether you are in clinic, hospital, etc. And the idea is that you're just building your resilience and your ability to respond in the best possible way as you go along on your journey. The third thing is the sage perspective. And this is when we get to the next step. This is when we're talking about um, not only growing, but exponential growth. And that is when you reframe your setbacks as opportunity for growth. And what is the gift that I can find in this challenge? Ultimately, you get to a point of clarity that you can kind of are able to identify the 80-20. What are the 20% of things, 20% of tasks, 20% of changes that will be driving 80% of the results I want for my business, for my company, for my personal life. And the idea is that the more you practice, the easier it's going to get for you to invoke your inner wisdom that you know that at a given time you're making the best decision possible. And finally, I will say that along the journey, I personally have been, uh, I found a way to enjoy and get to know, as an introvert has been challenging, but getting to know the power of community, the power of networking, how you can leverage mentorship and coaching. I recently launched with another amazing coaches, a mastermind for small business owner that is running and going really good so far. And I really strongly believe in the power of community. And on our mental fitness program, we have a small group coaching calls and we have accountability calls that can help to keep ourselves accountable. And there is a power of being able to share your challenges and also brainstorm solution when you not only combine one, two, three, but plus brain together, the the suggestions could be really game changer for you. So I would really encourage you to connect through community, build community. I'm part of multiple groups, but if you want to connect with us at the Doctor's Journey, we have multiple tools and resources, and we're very open to kind of keep adding more people to those potential physicians, healthcare innovators that can benefit from our mental fitness program. My advice, choose one pillar this week. Either you're going to take the mental fitness, the positive intelligence test, or you're going to focus on short mental breaks, at least 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Do it consistently, and it will become a new habit, a new behavior. It takes 66 days to build a more consistent behavior that becomes our routine. Now, I'm going to give you finally some tools that can help you strengthen these five pillars of mental fitness. One of the things that I like to do actually, besides taking the PQ assessment, is has the opportunity of coaching, group coaching. But sometimes you don't have time. Sometimes you're busy, or you can do it in different times of the day where people might not be available. That's when you can leverage the power of technology. My team has designed an agent AI that is being fully trained with our coaching program, including mental fitness, life coaching, and using the voice mode of ChatGPT, you're able to have a basically carry on with you your 24/7 coach where you can get feedback at any given time. And I've been getting into the point of automating most of my tasks. And one of the things that I like about this, you can actually automate these processes in a way that you can turn this session and interaction into your own personal journey all at the same time. And that make it more useful and sustainable. Example, you can have a virtual coaching session with your AI agent. You can create the transcript of this into a journal, and from there, some of the things that can be applicable to your to-do list and task, you can actually use the 80/20 rule to define what task is worth paying attention to. And if you use the Eisenhower matrix, you can determine which out of those are urgent, non-urgent, important, and non-important. And that gives you the clarity again that you're making the best decision for anything that you're doing at this point in your business, etc. The PQ reps is about getting the invoke the self-command tools, right? The more you practice, the easier it gets. Before I do any high stress, high stakes performance like this presentation, or have a meeting or team meeting, etc., I try to get in the best mental state with a short PQ practice that, as I said, could be as short as 30 seconds, as long as 2 minutes, doesn't have to be that long. There are multiple ways we do this. We practice on our coaching program. We actually do it in real time. And through the interaction with the agent, AI agent I was mentioning, that is kind of signature of our program, you can also get some of these exercises already embedded into the program. And therefore, when you're doing all this interaction, you can go through these mental fitness breaks that are crucial to build your resilience. These are more advanced techniques, some of which I like to use, particularly when we're talking about leading teams, more when you're troubleshooting the next this best decision for your business. And one of these is the three gift technique, how you can find knowledge, strength, and action to the setbacks. What can I gain from this situation? What strength can I build? And what inspiration can I bring? And the other one that we have is the 10% rule, which is about focusing on small, actionable wins. And the idea here is you try to identify what, at least when you're faced with a challenge, a defeat, etc., is there a 10% task that is actually hidden within all this challenge that is actually working, and how I can replicate and scale and grow this task into a potential solution for the problem we're dealing with. And that's a very interesting way of the change and shift your perspective, because instead of focusing on all the things that are not working, you focus on the few things that might be working, and you try to scale from there and find the best solution. And when I was showing you your sage powers, you go through empathize with the problem, explore the program, get too granular about the root cause of the issue, and then you start to navigate potential solution, and ultimately you try to innovate and activate into actionable steps. And that's kind of the process how we can guide you through when you are facing any big decision. I've been coaching physicians going through the one of the most challenging times, and it's when you're changing jobs, when you're getting into entrepreneurship. And I know those are very high pressure environment, and the saboteurs usually flare up on those times. When you get to the sage perspective, the clarity becomes the rule, and you're easy able to identify that 20% of tasks that will move the needle, right, and make the changes and cause the 80% of the impact, of the greatest impact of anything that you're doing in your life and your personal, either your life personally or professionally. One of the concepts that people don't like to hear is that sometimes, in order to get to what you want, you need to decide what you're going to stop doing. And that is called deliberative subtraction. And yes, we have a limited amount of time through the day, and having that opportunity to reflect on the things that matter and focus on those instead of the uh, um, what the matter the most, instead of the trivial many things that you might be doing, is extremely useful and important. Going back to community again, I'm going to emphasize once again the power of accountability, of mentorship, and feedback loops. Choose one tool from the list to practice this week and see what small change you can implement that can spark your daily routine. Now, how you can implement all these things that I just shared with you, right? So we went through all this process from self-awareness, self-command, sage perspective, focus action, and along with that, an empowering community. The first advice is start small. Today, you can start. Just spend a few minutes to do some breathing exercise through the day. You can still do your yoga, you can still do your mindfulness or meditation and so on and so forth, but commit to do at least 30 to 2 minutes of mental breaks throughout your working day, and try to start doing some journaling and see how it goes. Remember, focus on consistency rather than perfection. Don't give up. And if you can anchor to existing habits, that works definitely best. And the reality is, if you think about it, when you talk about and mindfulness and mental fitness practices, you can do it at any given time, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, and so on and so forth. You just need to invoke that part of your brain that will bring awareness to the now, to the present moment, to the emotional state, but also the sensation that you're experiencing, and enjoy and be fascinated from a point of curiosity rather than fear and discomfort. And I know initially I've been there, it's uncomfortable when you start doing it. But over time, you start feeling to get to know more about you. And this is the process of insightfulness that I love to see on my coaching clients, on the people that I interact with, because the more you are aware of who you are internally, the more easily you're going to be able to kind of change and shift your perspective when the time comes and is the greatest need for you to do so. I believe that when you're trying to implement a change, you definitely needs to have a way to track the progress. You need to seek support, and that's when coaching becomes extremely powerful tool that you can utilize. And finally, you can be flexible, adapt, and refine. You can create your own mental fitness to your own schedule. And that's the nice about this. You can just tailor these to your own specific needs. And if you need any help, trying to find a way where you can get these new tactics into your workflow in your routinely day, this is precisely why time management is quite crucial. And we do have some resources on our website if you want to check them out. Of course, now you're gonna say, that's probably not possible for me to implement. I'm too busy. There are too many roadblocks. So I'm gonna give you a few examples. Like when you're navigating uncertainty, fear, and indecision, you shift to focus on what you can control and take small, deliberative action. When you're challenged by resistance to change, you try to use empathy to understand why the change is needed, what the other person that want you to change is coming from. And that could be very insightful and empowering and make you be the best version of yourself when you're interacting with others. Balancing multiple roles. I always hear this story about physician entrepreneurs, and me myself included. We wear multiple hats at the same time. Once again, uh, use the 80-20 rule. What are the 20% of things that will move the needle, right? And cause the 80% of my results. In practice, deliberate subtraction. What I need, because oftentimes we don't reflect on what I need to stop doing in order to get where I want to be at. Fear of failure. Of course, and any entrepreneur deal with this on a regular basis. Try to reframe failure as feedback and take action, even if that action is imperfect. And finally, stay on your course, right? And there are key metrics I told you objectively. You can use the PQ score. And by the way, your saboteurs might change and shift as you go along on this journey. And there are some other tools that we can elaborate. We can create a dashboard where you can even monitor in progress as you go along on your journey. And as you go with that, you create an accountability framework that can keep you with weekly check ins, journaling, feedback loops, and finally try to celebrate your wins. Just the fact that you came through all these presentation, and I'm so grateful for you to be here listening to me. Just celebrate the fact that you learned something new and how you can deploy and implement this into your life. So set a goal for one metric, emotional resilience, and track your progress for the next 7 days. Just reflect on what went well, what needs to improve, and finally, rate yourself on a 1 to 10 scale as far as resilience, creativity, and calmness. The goal here for me and the gift I want to give you is how you can sustain a mental fitness for long-term success. And that will be through building habits that last a lifetime. Remember consistency over intensity. Focus on progress, not imperfection. And commit yourself to do some mental breaks, at least for 5 to 10 minutes, and do periodic self assessment. Finally, remember that the path from ignorance to mastery is a whole process. It's a interesting journey, and I just invite you to get started today and reflect on what needs to change and what can bring you the most fulfillments in your professional and in your personal life. Because a person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts. So he loses touch with reality and lives in a world of illusions. So we are enrolling on our mental fitness program right now at a doctor's journey. This is a structured program that target physicians, healthcare innovators. It's a 7 weeks program that will give you a lot of resources, including access to the positive intelligence applications, to accountability pod and group coaching calls. There are some other online courses that we have designed and tailored for professionals that are interested in explore ways to grow personally and professionally. And there is some component of artificial intelligence, as I was sharing during the presentation. So we're very excited about this launch. And if you're interested in knowing more, you can just go to adultersjourney.com, and that way you can get more information about our program and what can do for you. We've been grateful to be able to coach and mentor multiple physicians over the span of this program, and we have great success, very nice and candid testimonials of the performance change. And I'm working on preparing a workshop. It's going to be also action driven, but specifically designed for those in leadership position that are entertaining or leading teams to improve performance. So I'm hoping to have some more information, but we're planning on launching this live workshop next week. So stay connected with us. Again, yours truly, pues, Miguel Villagra, and you. We are very active in all our social media platforms, and I'm extremely excited for all of you who attend this program. And I'll leave you with the inspiration and hopefully the curiosity to take care of your mental fitness for growth. You guys take care.